Hey, how's it going? Yes, this is a lower. We finished assembling it the last time you were here, because I'm sure you've been keeping up with this award-winning series, how to select your AR-15 parts. So without further ado, we're going to get the lower out of here, and we're going to switch to what might be one of the most important choices you make when you're putting your rifle together, possibly the one that you will assemble the entire rifle around, the barrel. Let's move. Now, I will be honest, this is not going to be the most interesting video to watch, but if you are in the market for a barrel or an assembled upper receiver, this is going to give you a great place to start on what some of the key elements are. So let me tell you a little bit about what you're seeing in front of you. On the bottom left, we have a 16.5-inch nitride treated pencil barrel. Above that, we've got a 20-inch phosphate bull barrel. Next one up is a carbine barrel with the military cut, and that is also 16.5 inches and has a nitride finish. And at the very top we have a fluted stainless steel 20-inch barrel. The very first thing we're going to talk about is barrel length. There's a 20-inch barrel, there's a 20-inch, these are two 16.5. The reason to have a longer barrel is that the longer the bullet stays in the barrel, the longer the gases from the cartridge have to burn, and that's going to increase the velocity to a point, probably around 24 inches. In some rounds you start to see a decrease in feet per second as the friction from passing down the barrel actually reduces the bullet speed. But to about 24 inches you're going to have an increased muzzle velocity, bullet speed, and that's going to give you a flatter shooting round at a distance. Did I mention this is going to be a lot of Renaissance and not so much Northwoods? Get out your monocles and your top hats. You may even want to pack a Cheshire pipe full of a nice cherry flavored Cavendish. So the next question is, if a longer barrel gives you a better velocity and a better shooting gun, why wouldn't you want to go with exclusively long barrels and get rid of these silly 16 inchers? Well, with these increased barrel lengths comes increased weight, and ounces add up to pounds. You start adding these heavy quad rails or even aluminum, and things add up. Backup sights, bipods, the list goes on, right? Before you know it, you've turned a 7-pound rifle into a 10-pound rifle. A bull barrel like this one, in 24 inches instead of 20, can weigh up to 4.5 pounds. Whereas this little 16.5-inch pencil barrel weighs in at just 2 pounds. So in addition to barrel length, why wouldn't we go with all skinny little pencil barrels? I feel like I've been talking for a long time, and I have. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a break, go get a cool drink, as is my wont, and I'm going to send you with the former version of me and some of my trusted longtime associates to the Cocoa Head Range, and we're going to let you see them spark some rounds off downrange, and then we'll come back and talk about the difference in barrel profiles. Bear with me. I am lucky enough to have 4 different barrel profiles in my possession at the moment. I'm leveling a scope for one of my counterparts. So as we were talking about weight savings earlier, why aren't all barrels pencil barrels? You'd think this bull barrel would be too much to lug around, a big problem. Well, when you start accelerating things very quickly down a barrel, weird things happen. We've seen that when we shoot spaghetti squash and watermelon, 2 liters of soda. Things react violently and very much outside the realm of the normal physics that we'd experience in the day-to-day animal world, right? So when you fire a bullet down this barrel, there's going to be a slight amount of flex, and you can watch videos of guys shooting AK-47s on the internet, and you can see the barrel flexing back and forth. So to combat that, you have a bull barrel, which is more rigid than this little pencil barrel guy. So that ends up being the product of one of the greatest compromises that you deal with, which is maneuverability versus longer range. We'll let that incredibly salient point settle in over a cat video. And back to it. So if you look here, we've got a stainless steel barrel. It's got relief cuts in it to lighten it up, and stainless steel is lighter than the chrome moly vanadium that these other barrels are made of. So finally we have this carbine length barrel, and this is a kind of a military replica is the intention. You see the bayonet stud there on the gas block, so that's what we're dealing with. And this cut right here would be where you would attach a 203 grenade launcher. Let's pop a picture of that in so you can see what it looks like. If you saw the video where I talk about challenge coins, and the very first challenge coin I ever earned, it was in the National Guard with a 203 shooting flares to illuminate an attack. There's a trip down memory lane. So let's take a brief break, and I'm going to show you a still of me standing in the world's largest fiberglass muskie at the Fishing Hall of Fame, Hayward, Wisconsin. And because I was on vacation at the time, I did relax my strict no king of the world Titanic policy. I find the Fishing Hall of Fame Museum to be the equivalent of cheese at a wine tasting. It's going to really cleanse your palate, but in this case, mentally, so that we can get on to the next topic. That said, it's time to talk about the different finishes and barrel materials. So we've got chrome moly vanadium barrels. These two I said were nitride, and this one is a parkerized, and then finally we have a stainless steel. So the oldest technology here for barrel finish is parkerized, and the advantage of parkerized is that it holds oil very, very well, but it will still bleed through some rust. I was in Georgia for basic training, and the armory had its dehumidifier go down, and the rifles that were issued back to us for cleaning, even though we had oiled them up the night before, had just bloomed with rust. It really took a toll on them. But that was, however, also under the harshest conditions, with a bunch of 18 to 20-year-olds sweating all over the things doing a 20-mile road march, so your results may vary. Moving on, nitride barrels. Now, as I understand it, nitride barrels, similar to your Glock slide, is a salt bath. It impregnates the top layer of the metal, changing it on the molecular level and making it extremely hard and corrosion resistant. So the advantage of a nitride finish is it's rock hard. You're not going to chip it very easily. It also does the interior of the barrel, and for a parkerized barrel with no barrel lining, we'll talk about that in a bit, versus these nitride barrels, the difference was $20, which seemed like a good investment to me. At this point, nitride barrels are really taking off in popularity. They're relatively inexpensive compared to a chromelined barrel. But what I don't know is what the track record of barrel life is. Although, if you're like me, how many thousands of rounds are you going to shoot through these things? So in addition to being parkerized externally, this thing is chrome-lined internally. And the benefits of chrome lining is that it makes the rifle easier to clean. It's a corrosion-resistant layer on the internal. So if you get any moisture in there, or you're shooting corrosive ammo, and you're lazy about cleaning the gun, you're not going to have this pitted monstrosity left over. But the downside is that they add the tiniest amounts of material in there, which, you know, at this point, barrel manufacturers are able to account for that, but even through the most careful process, you're going to have some variance in those tolerances, and that's going to affect your rifling and in turn possibly damage your accuracy. What I don't have here is just a plain chrome moly vanadium barrel that's unlined, as opposed to the chrome lining. And the benefits of those are that they're far less expensive because you're skipping a step in the manufacturing process. But as I said, you're potentially going to get rust inside your barrel, and it may damage your barrel life because the chrome is substantially harder than the bare steel. And finally, stainless. What's the benefit of stainless? Well, you don't have to have it chrome lined like these because stainless is naturally corrosion resistant. It's lighter than chrome moly vanadium steel, and because they're not adding material, it's more accurate in theory, depending on barrel manufacturing. This all comes with caveats, right? But the nitride process would mimic that because you're not adding any material, you're just molecularly changing the surface area. So stainless steel barrels may be on the way out. I have no idea. So for the extra expense, I'm not certain if you're getting a substantial value with the stainless steel over the regular chrome moly barrels. So with the stainless steel, you're going to have, because it's softer, a shorter barrel life. I'm not a competition shooter. I'm not putting thousands of rounds through each of these things. They're vacation guns and something to take out and let my coworkers enjoy, or anyone who's interested in firearms and doesn't know anyone who has their own guns to try out. So I would expect any of these to last me for years to come. So stainless is a harder material initially, and because it's harder initially, it's harder to work with. Obviously, these aren't treated until after the barrels have been drilled out from the blanks and rifled and all that. So that's going to add to your bottom line. So is the stainless steel barrel worth it? It may be. This company that I've gotten it from promises that it can shoot a 1-inch group at 100 yards if shot from a stable rest and not just me swerving all over the place like a drunken sailor trying to get a sight picture. So, in summary, Parkerized, no lining, inexpensive, possible reduced barrel life, subject to rust. Parkerized, chromelined, possibly less accurate, more expensive, easier to clean, and corrosion resistant internally, less corrosion resistant externally compared to the nitride. Nitride, cheaper than chromelined, rock hard, excellent corrosion resistance, uncertain lifespan of the barrel, and finally stainless steel. Possibly more accurate than the nitrides. Corrosion resistant, absolutely. They're going to be more expensive. The barrel life might be shorter, but check it out. It looks good, and style matters. So next up, while I move the table around a little bit, I'm going to send you guys to eastern Wisconsin. You're going to see the annual Burning Bush bonfire that my trusted longtime associate Jamie puts on. I'm going to see some top-of-the-line footage and stills from that. And we're going to come back and we're going to briefly discuss the gas port placement, and then we're going to move into the more complicated topic of barrel twist.
Leah! Too late. Good day. He's a goner. Get out of there! Oh man, yeah, it's time to... A couple years ago? No, I don't either. No, because it's like $1,000. Yeah, exactly. Right now. Oh, I know.
So I've taken these three uppers and lined them up end to end. And what we're going to do is look at the placement of the gas blocks on each of them. Alright, quick tutorial on how semi-automatics work, so bear with me. Bullet comes shooting down the barrel, passes a tiny hole that's drilled here. A portion of the gases travel back through that tube and reciprocate the bolt, which in turn strips another bullet off the magazine and into the chamber. Repeat. So the gas port on each of these barrels is drilled in a different location. So the gas tubes are going to be different. This is something you're going to need to know if you build the entire upper yourself. So as I'm told, the pressure here is going to be substantially greater than when the bullet passes through here or through here, because it's had time to expand in the barrel. So the benefit of the rifle length gas block is that you're going to have a softer recoiling gun because it's going to be using lower pressure gas to reciprocate the bolt. The mid-length is a compromise between the two, and then the carbine, as I understand it, the carbine length gas system is going to give you a sharper recoil, and then decreasingly so as you go up to the mid-length and the rifle length. So if I'm being honest, I went with the carbine length just because that was the one that fit the handguards that I had purchased. So there you go. Sometimes the decisions are made for you already. You guys ready to talk about the topic, which I know the absolute least about? Barrel twist. So this is all fresh off the internet. Don't blame me for anything. So twist is expressed in a ratio. You can see here on the barrel, it's 1:7, and that means for every 7 inches down the barrel the bullet travels, the twist of the rifling makes one complete revolution. At the most basic level, what I can tell you is that a 1/7 twist is good for up to 90 grain bullets, a 1/8 is good up to 80 grain bullets, and a 1/9 is up to 75 grain bullets. So higher twist rates are good for lighter bullets. So what's a grain in a bullet? I used to think it was like grains of gunpowder. No, that's something entirely different. Turns out there's 7,000 grains in a pound. So these two barrels are 1 and 7 twist, and that gives you an option to really fire the widest range of ammo. Anything you're going to find in a store without looking really hard is going to be 55 or 62 grain. So the 1 in 8 twist in the stainless would be good for shooting a lighter bullet like the VMAX, because it's going to make your Sam's Choice explode more violently and provide a more pleasing video. And while I mentioned the 55 and 62 grain bullets are more common, also you can go on up to 90 grain bullets, and that gives you the benefit of more inertia and less likely to be affected by wind drift for your target shooters. To sum it up, any twist between 1.7, 1.8, and 1.9 is probably going to be just fine for your off-the-shelf needs. Don't even worry about it. So after all that, we know the best barrel profiles for long-range shooting, short-range shooting, and if you want to own a rifle that other people think you shouldn't. So what did I pick for the current build? I went with this Palmetto State Armory complete upper. The barrel is 16.5 inches, as we said, carving length gas system. Threaded barrel, so I can put a different muzzle device on there if I want to. It's got the military cut for the 203 launcher, which I will never use, but it looks scary, and that adds. My considerations for choosing it were the nitride finish, which was going to be a little more durable than the phosphate. And with the carbine length gas system, it was able to use the fancy handguards that I had acquired from the Matrix rifle kit. Remember that? We've been talking about that thing a lot. $75. We got a lot of value out of it. So we'll show you my costs so far on this rifle build, and then we'll get out of here. And I think we'll see you next week with something a little more recreational. And if you sat through this and you have any questions or comments, I'd love to hear them, because I certainly don't know everything there is to know about barrels, and I'm always looking to learn more. Thanks for watching.